Hey, check up. Let's play some D. Welcome to episode 56 of Play Some D, my varietal weekly greatness. And this week uh, will not be any different. I mean, there's so much going on. Obviously, the Roe v. Wade reversal. I mean, there was 51 migrants found dead in the back of a truck that I was gonna talk about. I mean, that's just a tragic story that from what I've read and researched that people are like surprised it doesn't come up and show, get in the news more. It's something that might probably happens more often than not. Unfortunately, it was just a crazy story. Um, the the January 6th committee hearings are just off the chains. I mean, I expected it all and then some, but to hear it actually come out and they're actually Liz Cheney actually going after it is is quite impressive. I mean, like I said, you want some. I like you want transparency in government. It's very important to have it, and whether you got to dig it out from whoever, you got to do what you have to do. So very happy that at least in that aspect of it, that people, that the government and that the law, it should go after everybody. Everybody that breaks it, they under the rules, under the constraints, you should. So yeah, that's just another big story. Bunch of NBA stuff, that NBA NFL stuff going on. Deshaun Watson met with the NFL, I believe, Wednesday, and then on Thursday he'll meet with them as well. Um, I'll talk about NBA free agency. I'll talk about Roe v. Wade, but in a whole different, not a whole different, but a different aspect of it. Brittney Griner news is I'll talk about that in a different context as well. The music lately has been good for me lately. So I love doing these. I'll do my top albums of the first half of 2022, and then there'll be overtime. I'll talk about Wimbledon and all white, mostly about women, but it's a lot to touch on today. So I'm going to get this baby rolling out the gates. If you don't mind, obviously hit the subscribe button, like button, all that good stuff. Drop a comment, notifications. But I'm gonna tip off into the first quarter, and I'm gonna talk about. I'm gonna talk about um, abortion laws globally. This map is from a NPR article about, do restrictive abortion laws actually reduce abortion? A global map. This offers some insight, and they talk about some statistics that I'll go over with legalizing it, and who has more, who has less, or do people still get abortions when it's illegal or illegal? I So as far as the Roe v. Wade goes, it does suck. It was nice to have for people that needed it. Gave a lot of people, comfort in knowing that if something happens, they can, have an abortion. There will be states that allow it, as we can see here, that the United States has a on request and a prohibited mixed bag here. The only country like that, of course, we are special as always, which I guess in terms makes the United States special. Sure, it's just it was just done, in my opinion, it was just done too politically and making things happen based on the right and the left, which are both on their extremes right now. The middle is just universally gone. There can we come back to it? Yes, but I don't actually think the comeback to the middle will ever happen. I think it'll stay maybe not on the far extremes forever, but it'll stay right and left for the longest, unless there's, as I've talked about before, a multiple new political parties that come in and actually can gather voters and energize the youth mostly, uh, which I think will trickle down or trickle up or trickle down into, more political levelness. But because the gist of it with abortion is that people are going to have it, as this article states, that people are going to get them regardless, whether it's totally prohibited or totally allowed. People are going to do it. It is going to happen. And finding them, searching them down, is just impossible. Law enforcement will be the ones mostly enforcing it, and finding people is, it's essentially the same thing as immigrants. You find some, you can't find everybody. You won't stop everybody. If you put big giant walls up at all the borders of all the countries, people are still going to find a way to get in. It's just how the world works. Yes, you do want some kind of constraints and things on things, but it has to be reasonable and not political. It really should be based on what most people want, and obviously in this case, most people did not want this overturned. So minority in this case is, should minority win sometimes? Sure. Yeah, majority can't always win, but on big issues, which I think most people feel like this is a big issue, which I think is a huge issue. It's majority should have a bigger say. I also believe that guys, just to talk with men having such a loud voice in this, a voice is fine, but such a big loud voice in this is crazy to me. I think this is a woman's issue for sure, a woman's priority that should be hashed out by mostly women. I think women should rule on this. It is a woman's body, no matter how you slice it. It's the woman that has to endure all of this pain. So as we look at the map, though, all right, so did that get us closer? A little closer. All right, so one of my favorite countries is Australia. Gestational limits, and I think that's what most people want, is some kind of week. There's it doesn't say exactly here, but there's a week, that a week, 12 weeks, whatever, however many weeks that you, after that, you can't have one. Indonesia is to save a woman's life. A lot of this stuff is to save a woman's life. A lot of it, which technically counts as, you have to dig in, but technically it counts as illegal to do it. So there is a lot of that. Preserving a woman's health, Africa makes total sense. Poland does that before the majority of the, even Russia, China. There's Greenland, Canada, Colombia, Argentina, South Africa, and Tanzania. So most of it is on a request, I think you can say. And then the second most is probably, to save a woman's life. But now just, prohibit altogether is very low. And I think it's very, very extreme. But, the extremes will be in there. That's just how things are. So to kind of go down, I just wanted to touch on, I actually really want to just look at that from a global standpoint, because it helps to give some understanding that a lot of people just talk mostly about, everybody wants to just think like the city you're in or the country you're in is just the end all be all, but everything it's a world we live in, and that all taking that into account is very helpful on a global scale to get an understanding where you're just not in a bubble. So down below is think I skipped it. Oh yeah, here we are. So they say in here that it is difficult in countries where abortion is illegal. There are fewer abortions. The question is simple. The answer is tough. Um, in places with strict abortion, it's hidden. You won't know. It's extremely difficult. So I'm guessing these numbers are just based on, uh, journalists and people that get in there and they dig in on this stuff. So how close? Not sure, but it's probably. It makes complete sense to me. So where it's broadly legal, 36 to 47 perform per 1,000 women, and in countries where they are prohibited together, it's 31 to 51 per 1,000. So it's they're basically the same between both because, like I said, people are never going to stop having sex. That's not the thing. Accidents happen. Men are weird, so things are gonna go down, and people are going to find a way if they don't want a kid, not to have it. That's just what's going to happen. So laws and rooting for your team is cool, but the biggest thing and what most people talk about is safety, and having legal abortions make things a lot more safe for women, and that's key. I'm totally on team women. Whatever women want is whatever majority women want is kind of what I side with personally, because women have been the lesser of the genders for so long, and I think they should have more say, especially in stuff that involves them specifically. So, can talk all darn day about that, but I have an amazing show to continue on, obviously. So I'll jump over into second quarter, which isn't the greatest of transitions, but I will be talking about the NBA 2022 free agency period. I like them little predictions. My draft was close. I did get the top five picks right, I think. But after that no. But yeah, I did get which didn't take a rocket science, but everybody did think Jabari Smith was going number one, but Pablo went number one. So the latest free agency buzz. Let's see. So it looks like Kevin Durant requested a trade. So that's not free agency. I want to talk about that. And Kyrie will probably be on the trade market as well. Durant, yeah, I don't believe anything ESPN says. This is all brand new. I just clicked it, and so that's what I'm seeing as of right now doing this video. All right, so this is who I wanted to talk about. This is the 2022. This is a CBS article. 2022 free agency big 50 players. Yeah, I won't do all 50, but these are the biggest names. So Zach LaVine, 5 years. Let's get a little zoomier in here. That's a big number. I'm pretty sure he will sign with that. Obviously, the reason why I wanted to check the latest headlines was because it'll change how I kind of think about these players. But I do think everybody is going to get their money. That is the goal. Whether LaVine plays a year, Bill plays a year, Harden plays a year, everybody wants to resign for the most money they can get that makes the most sense. So I think Zach stays with the Bulls. He will play this season with the Bulls, I believe. I don't think he'll leave for 4 or do anything crazy. He's 27. He's been hurt a few times. I think he'll keep it safe. Harden declining to $43 million was just smart. 270 for 5 years is nuts. I don't even think he believes he can get that. That is what he could sign. I think he'll sign something a lot more financially flexible for the team, keep good players on the team. Miles Bridges just got into some trouble. He's good, but I don't know what his value is completely. DeAndre Ayton, I always thought, and I mentioned this a few times now, I thought Orlando and that first pick made the most sense for everybody, or those first couple of picks could have worked for everybody. I don't even know if it was talked about, but now Kevin Durant, things get a little more interesting with him. So the wait by Phoenix may end up working out in their favor. Just to look over here really, really quick is that, yes, uh, the Hawks and Murray changes some things. So somebody will possibly, John Collins getting traded and them getting somebody is very, very possible now. So, having those two young guns and they just need another piece. Preferably, I think somebody that's better than both of them, but that probably won't happen. But Jalen Brunson looks all wrapped up in a bow for the Knicks, but he may want to win. So Miami may be a better choice, and there may be a dark horse out there that might rearrange some things and pull some strings for him. If Van Vliet gets $100 million, he gets $100 million, I'd imagine. So Knicks not drafting anybody and just going all in to try to get proven players. I'm not mad at that concept at all. Bradley Beal takes his money once again. Wizards, he'll take the 248. Probably shouldn't, but if he wants to win, probably shouldn't. Sexton is very interesting. I think the Cavs will probably I don't listen to Windhorse much at all or ESPN at all, but them not signing them, the Cavs kind of tell you that they are jockeying towards LeBron. I'm sure they're having some conversation with LeBron or his team to see what he might be interested in. But Colin Sexton will help the Cavs a lot, but they also might want to fall back and just work with what they have because they do got some really good players with Garland and Mobley. I think Mobley will be better this year. Jared Allen will be better. Everybody will be better this year, and they don't necessarily need Colin Sexton, especially for a big one. This is one of my favorite players right now, Anthony Simons. They need to sign him because I do believe Lillard will be traded at some point here in the near future. So this kid can ball out. He's a perfect combo guard out there right now that nobody's talking about. So I would just give him whatever. He can do it all. So I would definitely be keeping him. Tyus DeLon Wright. Malik Monk's very interesting. I would go get his. If I was him, I would go get his money. I wouldn't come back to LA, especially with Russ there. Russ takes the ball out of his hands, causes little issues. Patty Mills. Let's see. Schroeder, John Wall, Ricky Rubio. Okay, so John Wall is going to the Clippers, which makes sense. He only lost about $6 million in the buyout with the Rockets. He'll get it back with the Clippers. Schroeder, I don't know if anybody really wants to be bothered with Dennis Schroeder, but Celtics could have definitely used him in the finals. Ricky Rubio, all healthy and good. He's a very solid point guard, and somebody will want his services. Gary Payton, Bruce Brown. Devin Chinko is very interesting. I think he falls back, and he should have never left. The Bucks should have never traded him. They absolutely needed him last year. With Middleton going out, he would have fit right in there. So I definitely could see him going back to the Bucks, or maybe if it's just hard feelings, he might take his Kyle Anderson, Nick Batum, Otto Porter. TJ Warren's interesting. Oladipo is very interesting. He'll go somewhere that he'll probably go to a bad team and get shots up to up his value. Lou Dort would be very interesting. It's a lot of guys that we'll find out here on July 1st that could really improve some teams. But I had a kind of different idea about things before you hear Kevin Durant wants to be traded talk. So predictions: Zach LaVine, big guy. Zach LaVine signs it. Bill signs it. They play. Harden signs something smaller, I guess in the $200 million range, I would guess maybe. Miles Bridges, Brunson to the Knicks. Colin Sexton probably falls with like a baddish team. Anthony Simon gets signed back. Malik Monk sounds like he might go to Sacramento. Those are just some of my predictions, and I think Devinchenko should go back to the Bucks as long as there's no hard feelings. Joe Ingles did tear his ACL, but he can help somebody. And I think Marvin Bagley is probably coming back to Detroit. Mo Bamba will be interesting. Mo Bamba and Bobby Portis will both go to contenders, I believe. All right, so staying in the basketball world for third quarter is the Brittney Griner situation, and she was allegedly, arrested in Russia for having oils with cannabis in it. It's illegal. Still can't find any information if that's actually true, which that's the whole point. But in her going over there was just perfect timing with the war and U.S. helping Ukraine and U.S. having a Russian prisoner, and it's just unfortunate. United States says she's not a hostage, but that's a talking point to me. But I did want to look at it from the aspect of that there are 3 prominent U.S. citizens, high-profile U.S. citizens, Brittney Griner, Trevor Reed, and Paul Whelan. They're all top of the, whatever. They're the top of the list, I guess, for the president to get out. And as much as it's really brief, but I did want to talk about it because it's a big story. Because she just had her hearing, and it looks like she's going to be there longer. There's probably some things that Biden could do to quickly get her out. It looks like, but those other 2 specifically is that they've been there for a while, and it's like, do they get the same love? So yes, you hear the clamoring for a specific person, and these all 3 are on trumped up charges, is what they believe, just stuff that isn't really real, isn't really cool, shouldn't be in trouble for. But when you're in the midst of like such turmoil in between 2 countries, it's just unfortunate. It's it sounds easy, it sounds cut and dry, bring somebody home, but sometimes, in war, whatever kind of war you want to call it, because United States is kind of already at war with Russia, just not actually going to the big blows yet. But you take all the pieces you can get and use them to your advantage, and that's what Putin is doing. Whether she gets out or not, or when she gets out, or how she gets out, Russia is doing what Russia does, and it does suck, but I think people just kind of need to, you want people to come home, but it gets in those situations where stuff shouldn't happen, but it does. And what other presidents would and could and can't do, you don't know. You just don't really know. Hypothetically, if it was another president, the authorities in every country know who they can get. Maybe if it was Trump or another president, maybe Brittney Griner wasn't the person to grab for that administration. Maybe they see somebody else and grab another person. There's been a lot of people going in and out of Russia. They could have grabbed. You pick the most. They have bots and they have research. They know who to grab that would cause the most friction in the country, and that's the goal. Is to mess things up. Russia's good at it. So, and they knew for specifically the Biden administration, this was a good grab for them, and hopefully she gets out. Hopefully she's safe. I highly doubt they do anything to her. She'll just be stuck in a prison cell, probably not allowed to do anything or talk to anybody. But there are, I did want to bring to light that there are two other individuals that um that deserve love too, that deserve to come home, as people put it, bring Brittney home, BG home. TR and PW are there too. So just wanted to touch on those guys as well. So that was third quarter, and then fourth quarter is one of my favorite things that I like to talk about, like to do. I watch a lot of people's like first half music reviews, and I'll watch it. I like to let June go through. I don't know why. Really supposed to do it halfway through June. I think makes the most sense. Like second week of June, really the halfway point. So it kind of leaves out just. I know Giveon had a really good album. I haven't listened to it yet, but it wouldn't have counted for me personally in the first half. Maybe he's in my top of 2022, but his album did drop. And there's been albums. I haven't heard everything. I used to listen to almost everything or most of what I could when I was reviewing music, like all the time. But there's been, Post dropped, Jack Harlow dropped, Bad Bunny dropped. I believe Bad Bunny album is really, really good, but I can't understand nothing he's saying. It sounds really good, though. Benny the Butcher dropped, Kalani dropped, Machine Gun Kelly, Donda 2, I don't think ever actually happened. Ooh, Harry's House was pretty cool. Earl's Sweatshirt, Florence and the Machine. There was a Big Thief album, Dragon, Newborn Mountain, I believe. Red Hot Chili Peppers, Gunna dropped the album that I didn't like. Vince Staples dropped. So that was just, a lot of albums dropped in 2022. I think people have been doing a really good job, but I have my top 5 for the first half of 2022. So starting at number 5 is Conway. God Don't Make Mistakes. There was 12 tracks on here. It released February 25th. There's a number of really good songs on here. The Johnny Woo flick is with the Griselda Boys. Chanel Pearls with Jill Scott is really, really good. So much more. God Don't Make Mistakes. The title album is the closeout album, which is really, really good. Wild Chapter, that's T.I. Piano Love was, I think it was the first single, was a good song. Tear Gas with Lil Wayne and Rick Ross is cool. Drum Work is slick. And it starts off with Locked and Loaded. This album was, when it came out, I think it was my top. Based off of this, based on, it was the best album when it came out. Benny the Butcher's album was there with me too, but I believe Benny's album came out in, let me double check. I think Benny's album did come out after. It definitely came out after, and I think it was, right after, March 11th. And I think those two were like right there, neck and neck for me. So I don't know if Butcher would go 6 per se, but it would probably be close. So God Don't Make Mistakes. Conway is number 5. Number 4 is almost dry. Pusha T's 4th studio album. It was released on April 22nd, and this is a banger. Pretty much all the way through. My top 4 albums here are just, these are all superior albums, Brambleton starts it off really, really good. Let the Smoker Shine, Dreaming of the Past. They all smoothly roll into each other with Neck and Wrist with Jay Z, with Pharrell on it. It's Neck and Wrist is the best song on here, but my favorite song is Scrape It Off with Lil Uzi. But Neck and Wrist is the best song uh, by a hair. By a hair. There's some other really good songs like Diet Coke, Rock and Roll's Cool, Open Air, and I Pray for You. The last two songs, Call My Bluff, and Just So You Remember, number 5 and number 8 are really good songs too. But Scrape It Off, Neck and Wrist, Let the Smoker Shine, Diet Coke, Dreaming of the Past, Open Air, really good songs. My biggest knock on this album was the song length. A lot of sub 3 minute songs. There's one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, 8 of the 12 songs are less than 3 minutes, which gives it. And I don't know. I just feel some kind of way about that. Always have, always will. Number 3 on the list. 3, 2, and 1. I feel like can be interchangeable, but I think I'm very much set in my 3, 2, 1, and mostly has to do off just how much I've listened to him, to be quite honest. But I did a review on Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, and that can be watched in an episode somewhere. I also think I'm pretty sure I have a quick screen. I think it's also in a playlist for quarter coverage. I think. I don't know. So busy. But came out May 13th. It was his 5th studio album. 2 sides, 18 tracks, really 19. The Heart was the lead in song. But so many good songs. I'm really big on Rich Spirit, Father Time, Auntie Diaries, Mother I Sober are the 3 best songs. Still, Savior has really stepped up in my list. Count Me Out, Silent Hill. I did the review. I'm not gonna re-review it, but really good song. This is number 3. Number two. So Kendrick came out May 13th and sold it number 2, and this is the Chainsmokers. So far, so good, and this is very, very, very good. Um, it after Riptide is for the fans, the hardcore fans, the electronic. And then after that, it gets into that Chainsmoker sound from High, iPad, Maradona, Solo Mission, Something Different, I Love You, If You're Serious. That route of music is incredible. Channel 1, Testing, and Into Deep are all smooth tracks as well. Then I Hope You Change Your Mind and Cyanide are just, man, I have no idea what these dudes look like. Wouldn't know what they look like if they were walking down the street. But all I know is that they have really, really good albums. They make really, really good music, and I would like to see them in person someday. But yeah, so far so good. Number 2, and this released on January 7th, 2022, and I believe this is why it is my favorite album so far of 2022, and that is Dawn FM, The Weeknd's album. Just off of just longevity of length, what I've been listening to the longest, this is my most listened to album of the year, so I have to put it at number 1, and I did an album review on this as well. And this is, I believe I just said it, his 5th studio album, and it runs all the way through. Start to finish. Gasoline, How Do I Make You Love Me, Take My Breath, Sacrifice, the Quincy Jones segment right into Out of Time, Here We Go Again, Best Friends. This is the best album. As I look at it, listen to it, hear it every single time. The Less Than Zero, actually the actual song that closes it out, but Jim Carrey showing it out, closing out with the Phantom Regret, the whole theme cohesion of this album is better than most any that I've heard in years. It is an absolute classic, his absolute best album, and I'm pretty sure nothing will top it for this year. But we do got 6 months left, technically 5, and I'll do my full year with 10 albums, and this will definitely be in the top 3, no doubt about it. So that is my top 5 albums of 2022. And sling it right over into some overtime. Because that's what we're gonna do on 56. We're gonna do a little bit of overtime. And overtime is just a quick once again, stand on the female empowerment, female love bandwagon here. And why all white clothing at Wimbledon. It's been their thing, but the big one is that a lot of women are speaking out on having to play in their periods with cramps, and you're in all white. I think it's awful. I think it sucks, and I don't think it's necessary for a prestigious event, competition. You want your athletes to be comfortable as possible, and what color they wear, as long as it's not something ridiculous or distracting, they should be able to, as long as, I think you can get an idea. You don't want to have a competitive advantage, obviously, but wearing black shorts or blue shorts should be fine. That should fit into the realm. And I think, you playing tennis, you can obviously see your opponent right in front of you, no matter what they have on, right? So the excuse, people don't watch Wimbledon to see all white outfits. People watch to see competitive tennis. And honestly, people can be naked, honestly. And the real adults that watch it will be watching to see who's the best. Not what they're wearing, not what their hair looks like, not if they're screaming or yelling or smashing tennis rackets. Nobody cares about that stuff. We want to see competition. The real adults love and want to see the competitive people. When you have such prestigious competition like Wimbledon, it should be about the players and not, this shouldn't be a talking point at any way, shape, or form. I did also talk about before just women's outfits, period. I talked about it way back with the Olympics with swimming and volleyball, just women being so much more naked than guys, or not in swimming. I mean, guys are basically naked in swimming too, but I feel like all the uniforms are just out of date, and people should be a lot more comfortable, especially when you're competing at such a high level. And I did want to just talk about that really quickly in overtime. That's what overtime is, super quick, super duper. But yeah, Wimbledon, get these women out of all white. Get everybody out of all white. I mean, if they want to wear all white, sure. But having to wear all white is very, very stupid. It's 2022, maybe 2023. These old rules got to change, man. 56, play some D. This one was good. You kind of span the ropes of this one. I didn't really want to talk about NBA free agency, but I did because I just wanted to talk it out, and I probably wouldn't have did it had I known the Kevin Durant news came out, because it changed how I kind of thought about everything. I thought everything would be a little more in place, but now Kevin Durant is a big puzzle piece that can make everything go upside down. Everybody will be watching to see what he does. So most guys that want their money gonna get their money, but what he does is going to be a huge. It's gonna be a big deal in what happens moving forward. So I talked about that. I talked about Roe v. Wade, more so on a global scale, what people do, and abortions is going to happen regardless. Shouldn't be political. It should be much more thought out and handled in a better fashion. I also did my top 5 albums of 2022, first half of 2022. I also talked about Brittney Griner. It's unfortunate there's other prisoners in Russia too that would love to get fair trial and come home as well. I'm sure there's prisoners here in the United States that are in Russia or other places. There should be in other places that we do. It's political, and it's politically huge around these days. Thanks for watching. As always, like button, drop all the comments in the world, whatever. I'll be back for 57 in a week's time, and as we always do, keep it light, keep it tight, be safe, be great, and to the next one, I holla.